Welcome to your viewers to Couch Warrior TV on YouTube. I am the Couch Warrior, and you are watching Passage, Skyrim SE Let's Play, featuring Ettient Jorel, the Ultima Ranger. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, yesterday was quite the day. I have to tell you that I was kind of so absorbed in the story that I've been crafting around Ettient that I sort of forgot what the outcomes were when you head into Dragon's Reach. So in other words, I sort of forgot about the whole situation where as soon as I set foot in the door, it was going to kick off a lot of the things leading up to the whole Alduin quest line. But, I mean, this is kind of a free-form playthrough where the idea is to respond to what the game is presenting us, and so far it all makes perfect sense. It really serves to just, I think, increase in many ways the pressure that Ettient is under here. We understand that he's got a job to do in Markarth, and that in his mind his sister's well-being is at stake as well. So he's, you know, certainly not in a position to simply start saying no to Jarls when they make requests of him. So, you know, I think under these circumstances he would have very little choice but to do this Bleak Falls Barrow mission for Jarl Bulgraf. So that's what we're doing. What we're going to look for here is an alternate route up into the mountains. We know roughly where we need to go. The location has been described to us before by our friends, the shop owners, in Riverwood. Alright, there's a saber cat. Alright, I think we need to prepare ourselves for some cold weather here. Keep an eye on that cat. Okay, he's headed off in a different direction. Here's a cairn that should hopefully indicate a method up. Now look at this. This is Secunda's Kiss also. There's a bounty on that giant right there. But under the circumstances, we don't have time to be mixing it up with giants. We've got a job to do here. Now, as we get up into the mountains, let's make sure we're doing everything we can to keep from being surprised. See movement there? He seems pretty restless. Stay motionless. Maybe he won't see us. Alright, let's keep moving. So I feel like we have a lot of things to talk about where Ettient is concerned, almost to the point where I'm not sure where to start. So I guess one of the things that I think is a good starting point, because it affects pretty much everything in terms of just the way that we approach decision making now. This is a point that I think is probably more important than the others in that it potentially affects more things, and that is the issue of Edda. Now, Edda, of course, is an NPC in Riften who died, but more importantly, Edda was a beggar. And I think the significance of her death, the way in which she died, and the aftermath of her death is very important. Because I see Edda's death as a turning point in some ways, or if not a turning point, a confirmation for Ettient that the direction that he's been going in his sort of changing attitudes about Skyrim and the Nords and his interest in their culture and the people and stuff like that. I think Edda's situation will be sort of a confirmation for him in many ways that the direction that he's going, his changing attitudes are sort of changing for the better. His direction is a direction for the better. And I say that because we've seen, you know, Ettient, we've seen his mind opening up about things. Let's see what we got here. To go over. I think it went over. Okay, they're all going the other direction. Well, not this guy, though. Okay, let's hold off. What I like about Edda's story, limited though it is that for someone who's a street person, right? She just displayed an incredible amount of nobility in the way that she handled herself, and this is something that Ettient definitely would have noticed, without a doubt. Someone who's obviously had such a rough life that the only recent kindness she apparently knows is one person giving her a gold piece. You know? What is it going to take? Okay, that's really annoying. I can't tell if I'm over or under on this. So Ettient was very moved, I think. I think that he would have been very moved by what Edda did. Yes, she was asking for a handout, but in the end, she didn't feel she was entitled to one, you know? She thanked Ettient considerably for what he was willing to give, and when the time came to defend her city, despite her lowly circumstances, she gave her life to defend Riften and the people who live in it. And then, as the final gesture, gave Ettient whatever gold she had scraped together, which couldn't have been much. How am I not hitting? Oh, I'm getting frustrated here. Okay, I'm going to stop talking for a while. I need to fight, people. It's time to fight. That's it.
I'll fight. I'll show you what a real orc can do.
Okay, sorry everybody, I will no longer be talking ever again in this Let's Play. Okay, so it's going to be complete silence for every episode from now on. Whoops, that wasn't what I wanted. Just one brilliant move after another. It's annoying. You know? These losers should have been in the bag. In the bag. But Etienne's got a lot on his mind. And for some reason, I can't seem to hit jack squat right now. I don't know what my problem is. Probably a throwaway shot. Where are my arrows going? I can't even tell. I think that I'm compensating too much for drop-off for some reason. I'm not sure why that is. I think I'm just consistently firing over. Get over here and cover the flank. Or did I not hit him? God, how did he hit me? God, how did he hit me again? Son of a bitch. Okay. Time to stop toying with this asshole. We gotta finish this before it gets really bad. Okay. Ettient needs to regroup. The stress. It's the stress. The stress is getting to him. And getting to me, frankly. So, comes out in the role play, then mission accomplished. So we're going to regroup a bit here. A couple of deep breaths. All right. So we're thinking through this, right? At this point, this is where the mental discipline comes in. So he's got to think to himself, okay, I have to trust that Kerway is going to be fine. I have to trust that I can do this. I have to have faith that I can get this done. And I can do what needs to be done and make this happen, right? So faith in himself. And in some ways, faith in Maven. Faith in what he understands Maven to be. And Maven is out for herself. She stands to gain a lot by keeping the Hound in her favor. So harming Kerway, even though she threatens Kerway, is going to be counterproductive for her. So, a deep breath. And we move forward. All right, now. This environment, we should be able to shed some of this weighty stuff. Confirm what we're using. Make this first shot count. Two opponents, 4 arrows. It's an acceptable ratio. It's not a good ratio to him, but it's an acceptable one. Now we move forward. Confirm our kills. Yeah. Shot to the center of the back and the throat. We'll take that. I think that just as a person, Ettient has very high expectations of himself. He expects excellence in what he does, and when he doesn't get it, when the plans don't work, and he becomes agitated or angry about it, that affects his ability to be sort of cool under pressure. Oh, we could use these. We're out of linen wraps for fire starters, and I'd really prefer if we weren't dipping into things like alchemy ingredients for starting fires. Oh. All right. The ancient Nords definitely had a capacity for building wondrous things. The Nords of this area are much more practical, it seems. But I mean, think of the ambition required to build something like this. All right. Line it up with the arrow. So I think really the main point of what I was saying before was that we have already seen Ettient making sort of a turn towards a respect for the Nord people and Skyrim and their culture. We'd already seen that happening. But I think Edda's sacrifice, regardless of who she was in life, what her racial background was, to Ettient, that just spoke of the nobility of not necessarily the people of Skyrim, but the sort of nobility that he wanted to display. And even though her circumstances were lowly, she was fighting tooth and nail to save what she loved or who she loved. And I think that that is something that he would aspire to. Come on, you bastard. Gotcha. So Ettient took away from that inspiration to be a better person, because if someone like Etta can do it under her horrifying circumstances, you know, being homeless and having no one, then he can certainly do it. And I think that while she was defending her city, I think Ettient is thinking about, you know, what's his Riften? What is it that he's here to do? And I think he spent so much of his life using his considerable skills for his own, strictly his own enrichment. He's come to the conclusion that maybe what he should be doing is making amends to the world in general for his bad behavior and using his, his considerable skills for something else, something positive. And to me, this is kind of like him sort of coming full circle. Part of my thought on this story from the beginning, and the reason that I called this story The Passage, was because I wanted it to be sort of an experiment in Etienne's passage from something vile to something better. And I really didn't know where or how that transformation was going to take place. I was kind of waiting for the game to present me something meaningful, and I think it presented us something meaningful in spades with Etta's death and her, the selfless giving of her life, and then the way that she gave everything she had left to Ettient.
Get it away from me! Get it away!
In thank you for nothing more than a single septum. So I'm going to give some thought to what that means. I think we should all give some thought to what that means in the context of Etienne's development. Obviously, he's fighting for his freedom. That's never going to change. But his reasons for doing it may be less selfish now. Maybe we see a situation where our protagonist thinks that with freedom comes the greater ability to defend the weak, or defend those who can't defend themselves in whatever way that might be. Or, whatever it is.
Don't leave me for Arcade's sake. Don't leave me for Arcade's sake.
Looks like you got yourself into some trouble there, buddy. Listen, I'm here to recover the claw. And it's not just about stolen property anymore, you know that? It's about more than that.
It's coming loose. I can feel it.
Yeah? Alright, let's talk.
You fool. Why should I share the treasure with anyone?
That's how we're gonna play it. Alright. Just take it. I think Etienne's probably at this point also struggling to understand what all of this means. I mean, to the Nord people, there's... To the ancient Nords, of course, everything here has significance. To modern Nords, much of this is a mystery. And to Etienne, it's an even bigger mystery. What does all of it mean? You know? Why all the detailed markings all over everything? And the form of the construction and the strange puzzles and the... You know, what is this room for? Alright. I think we've got enough fire starter for a while now. Can we get around it? Alright, let's see what we can do here. So in thinking about how he would approach this, normally, like when he's fighting bandits and when he's fighting, you know, warriors in a normal combat situation, he's thinking about flanking, right? He's thinking about who's behind him, who's beside him, who's in front of him, and making sure that he's covered. This is a different situation. We're talking about a place. This is a place, obviously, that has some kind of spiritual significance to the Nord people. And it's a burial chamber. And I think that, well, a Nord... Even the Nords might come in here and not hesitate for a minute to loot everything in the place. As an outsider looking in and having only sort of a surface level knowledge of their culture, I think that he would be very wary of doing anything disrespectful. I feel like as an outsider looking in, he's looking at Nord culture with almost more reverence than the Nord people themselves place in their own culture. You know what I mean? So, it's kind of what I'm thinking. Alright, how do we deal with this? Hey. Come on. Ah, that hurt a little bit. So I don't think that he's going to loot bodies, and I don't think he's going to loot urns. Because I think he'd be sort of hypersensitive to the disrespect that that offers. And his attitudes may change once he does more research and he begins to understand more about the dragon priests and who they were. But right now, he's got such a surface level understanding that I feel like he's looking at everything in here as possibly being sacred to the Nord people, and thinking that he doesn't want to touch it. The chests I feel differently about, because the chests don't strike me as necessarily being... I don't know, they don't seem like ancient artifacts like the urns do. They seem like something that may have been dropped here over the course of time by people who've come in here with all kinds of different agendas, you know? Like they seem almost too modern for the setting. So I think he'd be somewhat less concerned about that. I had to take that last shot as I was kind of sliding down the hill just to get away from the edge far enough. I was wondering how a troll got in here. Is it possible it could have fallen through that and survived? Or is there another route in here? Because it seems unlikely that it would have come through the front door and made it all the way down here. And it scenes like this, right, where we see a skeleton. This is obviously not a Draugr. This is, you know, this is somebody who came in here well after this place was constructed and probably tried to loot something. Maybe this was left by them or brought in by them, who knows? We don't have a lot of experience for Ettient when it comes to Nord ruins, but we have enough to know that they're dangerous and that they claim a lot of lives. People who go into them thinking that they're going to come out rich and then never come out.